Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing good. Kira here. You know me. You've probably been looking at me look at my stupid screen for a while. Here we go. I think I'm okay. Okay, so I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to share a couple storytelling thoughts that might be fun for you guys. I'm doing a free writer's block event soon on tomorrow. On tomorrow, Friday, 4 o'clock Pacific time, May 23rd. And as soon as I can find that link, I'll definitely pop it in here. Let's see where I'm at. No, it wasn't. It's in my flow desk. So, anyway, you don't have to be the world's best storyteller. You don't have to do it right. I think the main thing is just being able to practice, get some insights, thoughts, awarenesses, prompts, fun things like that you can do that I think are really helpful. So pop this in there. That's on my Facebook page. Um, and you know, you don't have to know how to do your grammar perfectly and all that stuff. You just express, right? And I know that a lot of you are journalers. You like to connect some of your ideas and thoughts and your beliefs and the things that you hold dear and the things that make your heart light up and inspire you and connect the dots for you. But there's another way to do journaling that is very efficient and it's quick, and it can lead to potential storytelling ideas later. So this is just something you do at night before you go to bed, which is just a quick note. What did I do during the day? What happened during the day? And it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to tell the entire story of my day. I'm going to tell everything exactly the way it is or whatever. You don't have to do that. You just instead say, hey, I am going to write down one note, and it might be the dog threw up, you know, or it could be my gray streak in my hair. It could be something really seemingly insignificant, but it can lead to a potential story in the future, or it could lead to an anecdote that you tell while you're telling maybe a bigger story later. So it's kind of a nice way to have some things on hand that you could potentially write about or go deeper into. And it's fun to just go, all right, what happened today, and just say interview. And that was maybe the thing that you did that was really valuable to you. And for me today, I did an interview on a podcast with Tiffany, who's phenomenal. And she is I can't remember her whole thing. It's the purposeful healing. And she's got like this beautiful ocean vibe, healing water energy gal. And she's just so fun to talk to, and it was so easy to connect with her. So might just say interview, or I might just say Tiffany, and that will spark something in me to go, what about that mattered for me today? And so, like, I could tell the story of we talked, this is what we talked about, and that could be it, right? And that would be me reporting the story. That's not me sharing a soulful story moment, right? It's just reporting. It's saying I did this. It's I made the donuts today, and then I came home, I went to sleep, I got up, I made the donuts again tomorrow. Instead, it's what did that interaction really mean to me? So you can make a note about what it meant to me. And it could be something like, or what it meant to you, rather. So for me, it might be interview, and then I might write plus clarity. I got clarity in that time that we shared together. So that's one thing that you could do, which I think is very important because that's a turn. And I talk about turns a lot. It's that moment where you went from here to there. So for clarity to be the thing that I gained, that meant that at some point I was unclear. So in order to build a story, I would go, well, what was happening in me during that moment where I wasn't as clear or I didn't understand something? So I would say something like, I'm just sitting here minding my business, uncertain about what I'm intending on saying during this interview because I feel like so many times I don't deserve to be in front of people, that I don't have a voice that I think should be heard. And gosh, why would anybody want to listen to me anyway? So those are points of unclarity, right? I like to make up my own words. I think they're more fun. Um, the lack of clarity to the point of clarity. So how did I get clear? What happened in that exchange? And one of the things that I knew for sure in that meeting with her was that she felt peaceful to me. She's not chaotic. She's not unclear herself. She might have moments where she's questioning or considering something, but she has a very gentle spirit. And in her gentleness, that thing that comes across naturally is a feeling of clarity. And so that could be something that I could talk about. And the moments that that happened, where she gave a good chuckle, and that when she's not necessarily a overly chuckly kind of person. And that to me meant something, that I was touching a part of her experience that connected the dots for her. And that meant something for me. So she's connecting the dots for me. I'm connecting the dots for her. And it becomes a moment, a turn for each other. And I think that that's the basis of all real, true human intimacy and connection, when we really want to see each other and love each other and honor each other in moments where we aren't clear. So just from that, and I just made it up. I'm not going deep down the rabbit hole or anything like that. That was just a quick thing that I made up. And also I did experience it. So I might write that, clarity. And then from there, I might look at all of the times in my life where I felt unclear, uncertain, ungrounded, where I felt the chaoticness of either myself or others, and what that meant for me, and how I was able to transform that, for myself or with the help of someone else. And so in that realization, taking that moment and saying, okay, well, I remember the most chaotic time, and I remember the least chaotic time, and I remember those moments in between where I just didn't know who I was. And when people see some things like that on paper, they are able to identify for themselves those moments for themselves. So asking questions of your readers can be good too. So maybe they haven't ever experienced being a publisher before, right? So I could tell my story of being a publisher, but that's not extremely relatable to everyone. In fact, it's incredibly unrelatable. It's very unrelatable. But if I talked about speaking in public, we all go back to that sixth grade moment where we stand up to answer a question, or we stand up to give a paper or read our writing, and then somebody says that's garbage, or you just think it's garbage even though it's totally fine, or you get a B minus and it's like, oh, that's not an A, so therefore I must be terrible. So I can speak to, as a publisher, of someone who publishes everything, that everything that's within the vein of what we do, self-help, personal development, of all the times that I've heard people say to me, but that sixth grade teacher said that I shouldn't be a writer. And how heartbreaking that is to me, who I can identify with that. I had one of those, people in my life, but I decided to do it anyway. And, as somebody who is an only child, I'm like, no, everybody gets a seat. Everybody gets a seat at the table. Nobody has to bring a folding chair here. It is a round table and everybody gets a seat. And we'll just hold that space, that playground, for you guys to play and have fun. And that's what publishing is for me. It's not exclusivity. It's not, yeah, you can, but you can't. It's not, you know, any of that stuff. I wanted to pick everyone. Well, actually, I was never one of the people that picked anyone to play any kind of game. I was the last one picked, I would probably say, most of the time. I didn't even want to play. It's fine. Dodgeball. Hated dodgeball. Hated it. Anyway, I don't know if anybody's reading this, watching this at all, but I can't because I can't see on my thingy. Let me see if I can see on my thingy. Maybe I can see on my thingy. Hold on. Hold caller. No. Anybody's watching. But that's okay. If you are and you put a comment, thank you. I love you. Please comment. It makes me feel better about who I am as a person. All right, so back to storytelling. So when we look at things like this, you can have an enormous amount of opportunities for storytelling that are just everyday things, right? Everyday things. This doesn't have to be difficult or challenging or hard. It's just having a list of things that you can talk about is vital. So at the end of the night or at the end of the day, just write a couple of notes. That's it. And then at the end of your week, go back through, circle some of the big moments. And then decide, do I want to journal about those? And you can journal about them and just let it be a stream of consciousness. It does not matter. Nobody's going to read it. Nobody's going to read it. Nobody's going to read it, Kira. I say that because I had a parent who read all my journals, and it is a pretty serious violation in my mind to do something like that, because as a child, I thought that I had this freedom to just be myself. And I thought that because I was writing it down in my journal locked and I hid it in a special place, and that I could just have whatever thoughts that I had in my head. I thought that I could just have that space to say whatever I wanted to say in whatever way I wanted to say it. But I was wrong. And that is one of those moments that has definitely stayed with me. So much so that I have not done a lot of journaling. I have not done a lot of those things because I don't want my words used against me. And so I completely see those people who have those experiences too. Your words being shoved in your face when you're just trying to connect the dots for yourself psychologically to understand something in a new way is so incredibly painful. If you've ever experienced that, I'm so sorry, because it's so hard. And so to me, journaling in this fashion tends to be a bit more helpful, because I'm able to make a note that connects my thoughts, that helps me to hone in on the thing that I was feeling at that time, instead of describing it, going into detail. And that makes me feel a bit safer when it comes to my writing. In real love terms, we talk about sharing in a general way. If you've studied real love, cool. It's a book by Greg Bear, many books, all kinds of things. They have groups, or did at one time. I don't know if they're still doing them or not. And instead of going into the detail of your story, a story should, in Greg's opinion, should be only about 7 minutes. Like when we're sharing around a circle, it should only be max. Even your hardest stuff should only take about 7 minutes or less. And the reason why that is we can get stuck in story. We can get just turned around in it. And then we are repeating, or we are not actually getting the energetic, emotional, mental, cognitive, central nervous system fix that is absolutely needed in those types of deep introspective moments. So instead, what we want to do is we can just do something quick and easy. So I think this is a good exercise for that. And when it comes to storytelling in general, I would recommend that you keep it short. So not like me, 15 minutes in here, I've been just going on and on, but it's more of a teaching thing. It's not so much of a storytelling thing. If I was storytelling, most of my stories take 3 to 8 minutes in general. And the reason why I do it that way is because I actually trained myself to do it that way. I worked at a church, progressive church in Phoenix, and every weekend for about almost 2 years, I did a 3-minute speech. And it was basically used to help parents get their kids in and get themselves in to the church so that we could start. And it was kind of a stall. It was a stall tactic, but I took it seriously. I mean, I would put images up on screens. I would do all kinds of stuff because it meant something to me for the people that were already there, that they would be either mildly amused or they would feel like, oh, sure. Um, some people hated my 3-minute speech, which was always fascinating to me. These amazing Christian people are like, why are you here? I wasn't laughing at the time. I was crying, that's for sure. And so, especially since I worked really hard to keep these short, it takes a lot of work to keep yourself brief. And that's something that you learn as you really hone in on your stories. So this is the other thing that I would suggest, which is take your story and cut out the things that don't matter and shorten them. So let's say I have a chronological story. So let's say I'm going to just make something up. Let's say I'm going to the beach. All right. So if I'm going to the beach and I'm going to tell you about my road trip to the beach. And then I talk about trying to park at the beach. And then I tell you about how I got to get my lawn chair out of the car to go to the beach. And then I finally get to the beach. Well, if there's no real purpose to any of that stuff in the beginning, then we're just at the beach, right? So take out all of that other stuff, unless there is an emotional component to the purpose of the beach. So let's say, this is why it would matter. I'm driving on my way to the beach. I get into a car accident, but I'm okay. And so is the other person. We exchange our information and we head down the road. I get to the beach. Once I get there, I put my chair down, I put my umbrella up, and I start to relax, only to notice that the person that just hit me is in the chair next to me. And we have a whatever, big fight or big laugh, right? So that's what makes the purpose of that first part important. But if it was just traveling to get to the place that I want to tell you a story about, it's superfluous. It doesn't matter. So you cut all of that stuff out. If you hate, like I do, taking your lawn chair to the beach and somehow it's something having to do with the beach when you get there, then maybe you can add that part. But you start as close to the action as possible. Also, it's in motion. So this is the other part that I find so fascinating when it comes to storytelling, which is so cool. That would be, I'm on my way to the beach. I'm driving to the beach. I've got my lawn chair. I'm setting my chair up at the beach. It's action. There's movement. I even thinking about something or writing about something or talking about something. It's an action. because then that brings your reader into it. Otherwise, there's nothing really happening. Or you're making a statement, I hate the beach. That's not action. I want to find out why that happens when you're there. And then you can tell me at the end that you hate it, but don't start me out that way. So storytelling is powerful, it's impactful, it's beautiful. And I'm learning more and more about it. And I'm really excited to share that as we go. So tomorrow we are going to have our awesome thing. And I think I can put things on my things. Can I put things on the things? I don't see why not, Kira. Let's see. No, I don't want to chat. No, I don't want to chat. I want to share my screen. Writer's Block Party. All right, here we go. Writer's Block Party. Now, I make a big promise here that's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. By the way, I have no idea how to. There's a widget of some kind. Let's see. As you wish, links. Sharing them. Let's see if I can. Okay. Anyway, I don't know how to put the thing up with the link. So the link is, just so you know, asyouwishpublishing.com. Nope, sorry, asyouwishpublishing.myflodesk, FLO. So it's asyouwishpublishing.myflodesk.com/writers-block-party. But I'll put it up in the information as a comment to that kind of thing. But here's our Writer's Block Party. Hang with friends, ditch the pressure, write for joy. So we're going to do some live writing bursts, no rules, no filters, just some fun stuff, creative warm-ups that feel like recess, yes. Soulful, silly prompts that surprise you, optional open mic so you can share if you want to. But I want you to share not from reading directly unless you have a really good line that you really feel drawn to share. I want you to tell it, a storytelling. Use your voice, not your written words, and read it, because sometimes that's what people lose the storytelling momentum and energy when they're just reading it from the page. And so it can get lost. So especially if you just wrote it. So instead, I'm going to have you tell the story. It's not a workshop. It's just a creative explosion disguised as a party. All right. So join the most joyful writing session you've ever experienced. I don't know if it'll be the most joyful. Oh, that'd be fun. I think it'll be fun. Maybe I'm overselling it here a little bit. Journalers, please come. Writers stuck in perfection mode. Creatives creating connection and fun. We're going to have fun. It's going to be, right now we have, I think 12 or 13, 14. I think 14 people are signed up for it. So it's still small enough. We might do some breakout sessions. As soon as I figure out how to do the breakout session thing on this system, and we're just going to enjoy ourselves and play, because why not? Writing, if we look at it from the perspective of, when we were kids and we had to write that report and then we kept putting it off and all this stuff, that, I know it can feel like you're bogged down, but you don't have to feel that way. It can be fun. Expressiveness can be fun. Movement is fun. Drawing is fun. Creativity in all its forms is fun. And writing can be just as fun. You just got to let go of those things like, am I a good writer? And am I is my grammar good enough? And all that. Don't worry about that. We don't need to focus on that. We want to focus on having fun and enjoying ourselves and telling some of those stories that make us who we are. That's really the point of it, in my opinion. So I'm going to just check and see if there are any questions or thoughts. I don't see any questions or thoughts as of now. No, I'm gonna test something here. Okay, I don't see anything. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that works well for you as far as just connecting the dots on a couple of storytelling considerations and ideas and thoughts, feelings. I'm going to be doing some more of these. I've been off Facebook for a while, and I'm going to start doing them again. We will see how it goes. And if I don't like it, I'll stop. All right, guys, you have a great, wonderful, amazing